Hello everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you had a good, nice break. Can you all hear me? That's my main concern now. Something weird had happened in session one, and now I'm confused. Slash, if it works in session two or not. Just want to be sure. Let me know in the chat if you all can hear me, and if you can, welcome back. Thank you again for to everyone who's joining me for the part two of our sessions. In part one, we did quite a bit, I would say, and now we are back for part two. Take it further. Anyone who is joining me for the very first time, thank you so much for joining. My name is UT, as in like it is Utkarsh actually, but I prefer to go by UT. That's how everyone knows me, like in MLH and at work, I would say. We are doing these React and JavaScript interview style questions. This is kind of a version 2 of it. We did version 1 in last Global Hack Week, which I think was really popular. People really liked it. Folks like yourself loved that there was these interview style questions, and we learned concepts, but at the same time also kind of practically use it. I guess that kind of goes well in a way. So yeah, I'm back with V2, and I hope it is as popular as V1. So in session one, we did some quick fire, which was kind of a revision of everything that we have done in we did in V1. So it kind of forms the basis for people who are joining who are joining me for the very first time. And it also kind of solidifies your concept about JavaScript. And we started with asynchronous things like asynchronicity in JavaScript, I guess I would say. And now we are just going further there. Cool. Okay. So I guess with that in place, let's go ahead. But I am just going to ensure that you all have all have checked in. And I'm going to do that by just giving you the link. Today is Saturday, 14th of March. Oof, yeah. And here is the link for session 2. So please do check in. Helps me, helps you, helps MLH. The link is in the chat. And thank you so much. I will take a look at it after the session. Thanks a lot. Okay, perfect. So with that out of our way, let's go back to what we were doing. So I was actually kind of writing down the questions, and then I was like, so that we waste less time in me writing down the questions. But yeah, this is what it is right now. The other question that I wanted to write down. Okay, I'll do that as we kind of go ahead. Okay, cool. So expect I would say lots of tricky questions, and we'll try to build our understanding around it. So let's start by building our understanding. So what we did in the previous session. So we understood that anything which does not have a time associated with it, which does not have a delay associated with it, gets run first. So in this case, when I run this code snippet, when I run this code snippet in the console, I see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are printed first, and then set timeout runs 1, and then set timeout runs 2. Okay, these two are printed. And the reason we a very crude reasoning is that it's based on some sort of queues. Okay, and in that queue, anything which does not have any time associated with it gets sent to this first queue, where it runs or gets called in order. Anything that has a time associated with it, aka set timeout, or some sort of waiting associated with it, is sent to a different queue, and it is run in order as present in that particular queue. Okay. Let me rearrange my desktop so that it makes it easier for me to kind of keep an eye on the questions. So this is what we understood in session 1. Now let's solidify this queue logic, and let's solidify this kind of event loop logic by doing a second question where we take a look at one more queue. So the question that you might be given is that given this console log, okay, and there's a set timeout, we know that set timeout gets sent to a different queue. I have console.log1. I'd say, yeah, okay, let's leave it sync. What would be printed and which order? Okay, I know that set timeout gets sent to a queue. I know that I've kept saying or kept repeating that anything that has a wait associated with it, anything that has a delay associated with it, gets sent to a different queue. But are there queues within queues? Let's see. Okay, if given this kind of question, our mental model is that number one, all the synchronous tasks are going to run. So 1 sync and 4 sync should be printed first. We are 100% sure about that. The only thing that we are unsure about is this 2 timeout and 3 promise. Is it 2-3 or 3-2? Okay, that is the main question here. Hit enter. Let's find out. So it says 1 sync, 4 sync. We were 100% sure about it. 3 promise and 2 timeout. What's that? Okay. So, talking about the queues, promises go to a different queue, okay? And set timeout goes to a different queue. So there's one more level of queuing, okay? Or there's one more variation to the queue, or I would say, let's think about it from this perspective. There's a new queue. There are 3 kinds of queues in JavaScript, okay? I say queue because it makes it easier to understand in terms of what's happening, what's running. Yeah, I would say that. And actually, the full name is micro task queue and macro task queue. Okay. So whenever someone asks about JavaScript, they ask, oh, so JavaScript is single threaded. Okay. And how does it run asynchronous things then? Now, the question why someone will say JavaScript is single threaded, or you may be asked, is JavaScript single threaded or multi-threaded? The reason why these questions exist is because unlike other programming languages, which use CPU processes, like each CPU process or multiple threads in a CPU to run multiple tasks at the same time, JavaScript can run only one task at a time. Okay, but if it can run only one task at a time, then what about, like, let's think of a practical example that I have a page, which on that page we need to show some details, and it also needs to make a request to some API, a request to some backend. It has an API to get some data. Okay, so now getting the data can take time. It can take 5 seconds, it can take 10 seconds, it can take 1 hour. Okay, depending on how huge the data is, if something needs to happen, if there needs to be some processing that needs to run, like anything could happen. Okay, and assuming that your browser does not go down in that waiting of 1 hour, I guess I would say. So yeah, if the browser does not go down, nothing happens, then and it actually finishes, do you think we'll look at a blank screen for that much time, or will anything that is synchronous be printed on the screen while we are waiting for the next bit to come back? Okay, if JavaScript is single threaded, then you could say that, oh yeah, we'll have to wait. But if we have to wait, are we looking at blank screens? That's not what happens. What happens is, as we saw, things that could be run get run, and things that need to wait for some data, some details, or whatever, get run separately after the main things have been run. Anything which is non-blocking has been run. So JavaScript is single threaded, but that does not mean that it is doing only one task and then waiting for that to finish before the next task happens. Depending on what kind of task it is, it has a task scheduler which sends these like lines of code. Okay, imagine it as line of code. It sends these lines of code to different places or different parts of the queue, and then once they have reached these different parts, depending on which queue they are, they're being run. So now imagine someone, like, try to make this mental model. Okay, imagine me standing there. I am JavaScript. I'm a task scheduler, more like. Okay, so I'm a task scheduler. I know JavaScript has one thread, but we can still have things being run at different times. So the step one, line number one of the code, console.log, comes to me and it goes like, I want to run. I'm like, okay, you don't have any wait associated with you, like wait as in like waiting time. Okay, there is no timeout associated with you. You can be run instantly. You go to the call stack. Then comes the second line, set timeout. Okay, I'm like, oh, you're set timeout. You have some time associated with you. Whatever be that time, don't care, but you have some time or waiting associated with you. You go to this other queue, which is called as macro task queue. Then comes the third line to me, and it goes like, oh, I'm a promise. And okay, I'm like, okay, you are a promise. You also have some wait time associated with you. You go to this new queue called as micro task queue. And then comes the next line to me, console.log4. And I'm like, oh, you don't have any wait. You go to the call stack. Okay, so call stack is one queue, and there is this macro task queue, and there is this micro task queue. Macro, micro. Okay, so these are the three queues that we have. Now, call stack gets run first. So console.log1 and console.log4, these are printed first. It always happens first. Okay, then comes the micro task queue. Okay, micro means small, macro means big, right? So micro, or the smaller tasks, get run first. So smaller task in this case is the promise.resolve. Okay, so promise.resolve, it is going to print out 3-promise. So that gets run first. And then comes the macro task queue, or the bigger timeout tasks, and that's the set timeout. So set timeout will be run after. If there are multiple set timeouts, what will happen in that case? So I think we had seen something like that, right? So let's say this is, I'll remove all of this. So I have 1, and then I have 2, and I have 3, I have 4, and then let's say this is 5, and this is 6, and this is 7, and this is 8. Okay, my question to the chat before we actually run it and try it out. Based on everything that we have learned so far, can you predict what will be printed? Okay. No answer. Does that mean I've not explained it properly yet? Okay, cool. Let's try it out. Let's see. I think this should be visible. Okay, so I have 1, 4, 5, 8. Okay, all of them synchronous. 1, 4, 5, and 8. 1, because synchronous in the terms of that they are all normal console logs, right? So 1, 4, 5, and 8. Okay, perfect. Then we have 3 and 7, promise, promise. And then we have 2 and 6, set timeout, set timeout. So back to our basics. We have very simply the whole idea of step 1, call stack. Everything that can go into call stack, which has no wait time associated with it, gets run first. Then we have all the micro task queues, everything that can go into a micro task queue gets sent there, like literally gets sent there, which way is kind of all the promises. Other than promises, I think we also have async await, which is nothing but promise. There's also mutation observer, which exists, and there's also queue microtask, which gets run before any macro task. Okay, and then we have macro tasks like set timeout, set interval, request animation frame. We have, I think, set immediate, something like that in Node.js. UI rendering, so anything that we see on the screen. Yeah, all of these are macro tasks. Okay. Yeah, cool. So I guess our understanding is about call stack, micro task, macro task. Any questions, anyone, about this? So we get 1, 4, 5, 8, then micro task queue, which is 3, and then 7, and then macro task queue, which is 2 and 6. Okay, and they always go in order. Question is, not really, not priority in the strictest sense of priority. Okay, kind of, yes. So they have different priority level, one of, and that is that micro task first, macro task later. Okay, cool. Next, let's go to the next question. Also, if I run all of this in Node.js, I hope it runs / works the same way, right? I hope, because I would need to test that. Session 2-202.js 14583726 145837 and 6. Perfect. Yep, exactly the same. And in this case, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 9 10, definitely, right? So 1 2 3 4 1. It should be basically 1 4 7 10, and then set timeout runs 1, set timeout runs 2. I'll comment all of this out. I skipped a few numbers so that I can see things running properly. 1 4 7 10 1 2. Perfect. Okay, cool. Tripping up people. That's what I'm enjoying. Okay, let's try this one. So I have a promise and I have a console log. So based on all our understanding so far, okay, take a big guess, like take a random guess, I would say. and tell me what will be printed first. Any guesses? No one? Okay, our understanding so far has been that anything that is not asynchronous gets run first. So D will be printed first. Okay, definitely. Now, question is about A, B, and C. So I have a promise.resolve and dot then. Okay, so I'm chaining my promises. Dot then console log A is the first thing that it gets. Then we have a promise.resolve and dot then and then console.log B. And we have a chain outside of the first promise.resolve, which is dot then and has console log C. So if I go by the idea of micro task, okay, if I go by that idea, does that mean that I'll have D first, then I will have my promise.resolve, the first promise.resolve queued up, okay? So queued up, which means more like the first dot then queued up. So the first dot then gets resolved or should get resolved ideally. Then in that dot then, I have another dot then, right? I have another dot then, which means I have sorry, I was looking at a message. Yeah, we have another dot then, so that should get queued up. So after the first dot then, the second dot then queues up, and then the third dot then queues up, right? Because even though they are all micro tasks, okay, we have a queuing, okay? So we have micro task A that should run, okay, not micro task A, but this first dot then, which will eventually print A, okay? So A is queued up, and inside A, B is queued, okay? And then the C should be queued. So in my opinion, it should be D, A, B, and C. Let's try it out. So D, A, B, and C. Perfect. Okay. Any questions about the logic or the way of thinking or how we reach this conclusion? Okay, I'm seeing silence about everything, and now I'm concerned. Are you even like I'm audible? I guess that should be my question. Okay, just to quickly repeat. So synchronous runs first, call stack done. Then we have microtask queues, and in microtask queue I have 3 microtasks, right? So my first microtask is the dot then or the callback which prints A, okay? So that is my first task, literally, right? Then and that's where it technically ends, right? I only have access to the top level one. So the first promise.resolve is queued, okay? And after, in that promise.resolve that is queued, when it actually runs, okay, it event loop goes to the first microtask and it goes like, oh, I need to kind of run this microtask. What is the first thing that you give me as an output? I give you like console.log, like, okay, so promise.resolve says here's the console.log A. So it runs that A callback and it prints that out. And then it goes to the next line. It goes like, oh, there is another queue. And it goes like, I have a micro task inside which I have another micro task. Okay, think of it from that perspective. Okay, so when A is executing, another micro task B is in the queue, okay, or gets added in the queue. not inside, I would say, but more like A says that, oh, you also need to add run B after I am done running. Okay. And now, actually, let me take one step back. Let's say that every dot then queues up something. So the first dot then queues up this console log A, and the second dot then queues up console log C. So in microtasks, you can think of it as A and then C. Now, when event loop starts running, it goes like, okay, what's the first dot then? What's the first callback function? It says, oh, you need to print A. So I print A. But then it goes like, oh, I also have another micro task which I need to queue, which needs to come behind me. And that is where B comes in. So between A and C, B has been added. Okay. Because A has queued B. It's like if you're standing in a line, okay, you are standing in a queue, and then someone says that, hey, so I'm standing, and behind me, let's say someone, it's like C is standing. When the time comes to, I don't know, go to the door, or let's say go to the event loop, I go like, okay, I need to go in first, but after me there is another person, and that is not C, that's B. So B gets queued between A and C. So B is like literally in the middle. Then B gets run. Once B is done, then it comes to C. Okay. So the picture is start microtask A, run A and queue B. Okay. Run B, then C. Okay. Run A, queue B, and C has already been in the queue. Run B, finishes, like the inner microtask has finished, there's nothing else in between, and then C comes in. Okay. So I guess one more thing to kind of remember is that if one microtask queues another microtask, then that one will be run first before the outer microtask runs. Okay, so the microtask needs to be drained completely before any other microtask can run there. Okay, the inner microtask needs to be run completely. Does that make sense in terms of what I'm explaining? Like A, B, C. Like A said that, oh, behind me B is present, then B runs, and then it comes to C. Okay, I don't know, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm repeating the same thing again and again without it making much difference. Okay, no questions. So if there are no questions, I presume that it was all understandable. And now let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is going to be slightly tricky, but let's see if we can figure it out, right? So const p equals new promise. So I'm creating a promise. Okay, like suppose that you are given this question. I'm showing slash what we want to discuss is, given this question, how would you come to a conclusion? What gets printed? The what gets printed, even though it sounds trivial, I would say, it's very important, because replace console log with anything else and you have a mental model of what's going to happen in which order. And that's how you avoid bugs. If you know what is going to run at what time, then you know 100% what not to write. P dot then value, I can do console.log of Okay. Question is, what runs and which order? Let me know if any guesses. Anyone? Don't run it, of course. But based on everything that we have learned, I would say, slash everything that we know, kind of try to make a guess. I guess there is one thing that is slightly new, that will be a gotcha, and that is that a new promise is synchronous. I'll give you that hint. A new promise, like that keyword, that syntax, is synchronous. It's called as a promise, like it's an executor. Okay, so I'll give you that hint, that new promise runs synchronously. Based on that, any guesses, anyone, about anything? Okay, I'll take the silence as golden. That people have understood. They just don't want to tell me. Okay, so I said new promise is synchronous. Okay, if that is the hint, so everything that would be synchronous should be printed first, right? So what's synchronous inside this? Inside this P. Both console logs are synchronous. Okay, so A and C should be printed first. Okay, I have one answer, but DACB, I think it should be AC should be first. Now comes the next bit. What else? Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so these are the two things that are synchronous. Console log A is synchronous, console log C is synchronous, because new promise is synchronous. So AC should be printed first. Then this callback, okay, since it's a promise and there is a callback, this resolve B would be queued, in my opinion, right? It would be queued. And why would it be queued? Because P is assigned to this dot then. So we reach this dot then, like resolve B does not mean anything. It does not mean to print anything. It will only be printed when this P, which is a promise, is kind of resolved by doing a dot then on it. So then bill. So P dot then is called at this point. And because it's a dot then, we know that it would go to, like dot then means it's a promise. If it's a promise, it goes to a microtask queue. So this line, which ideally should return me this resolve B, right, would be queued. And then what's the next synchronous task? That is D. So A, C should be A and then C and then D and then B. That's how I see it would be printed. Let's try it out. ACDB, ACDB. Okay, perfect. Cool. So I guess, yeah, the only gotcha in this case would be this, right? ACDB. So not the gotcha, but more like the only reason, or I guess someone asks you this question, the only thing that you might need to remember, or it may not be clear instantly, is I would say this whole thing about what's the word? New promise. Okay, so new promise, it starts right away. So that's like in the queue, that's the first thing. And in that new promise, we have some synchronous tasks. That is console log A. Then line number 2, the resolve B, it kind of makes or tells that, oh yeah, this has been resolved slash the promise has been fulfilled. Okay, but it does not run the callback. Okay, because the dot then callback is not, like, it's not being run there. Then what's the next task, which is console log C, which means this is the next synchronous thing, so that gets printed. Then we'll reach the line p dot then. So p dot then, it is going to register that there is a promise, and it is going to register the callback, and it gets pushed to the micro task queue. Okay, then we have the next synchronous task, which is console log D. So D is synchronous, gets printed. So A, C, and D, these are synchronous, gets printed. Then the micro task queue is called, and it's told, okay, now you can run. And it says, oh, if I can run, what I want to do is I want to console.log the val. Okay, and what is val associated with it? Oh, sorry, what is not what is val associated with, but more like what is val going to resolve into. Okay, val is going to be val is going to be resolved to whatever this is, which is B, and that's why it prints B. Any questions? Anyone? Wow, silence. Love that. I'm hoping that you all understood. Okay, the queuing, the promise, new promise starts right away. That is the only thing you need to remember for the time. Like, that's the only new information you need to remember. Sorry. Whew. Okay. Three, four, five. So for 5, I'm going to do promise. Excuse me. Dot resolve 1. Okay, and then I'm going to have dot then. Okay, now this is where it gets confusing, but if you remember the basics, that's going to be great. Dot then. Dot then. Dot then. Dot then. No, there won't be curly, semicolons there, sorry. I was wrong, and I guess this is it. Cool. So if I run this code, what would you say I expect? Build your understanding. Promise.resolve says that, oh, we are going to resolve it to 1. Okay. Now, based on everything, all your understanding, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, let's try. Let's try together. So promise.resolve 1. What we are saying is that, oh, there we go. Like, let's assume that, not let's assume. So we start with 1. Okay, we're saying that there is like an input of 1 which gets passed to this x. So x is 1 plus 1, which is 2. Okay, and dot then we get 2 plus 1, which is 3. Then dot then we have 3 plus 1, which is 4. Then we have dot then 4 plus 1, which is 5. And then we have dot then console log, and that should ideally print out 5, right? Like, that is the ideal scenario, right? So 1 plus 1 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4 plus 1 5. Right? Does that sound correct? Anyone? Okay, silence. 1 plus 1 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4 plus 1 5. Yeah, sounds about right. Until you actually see one slight difference, which is this curly brackets. Okay, and this is going to result in something interesting. Anyone wants to take a guess? So that's my hint, that there is this curly bracket, and this is going to result in something very interesting. Okay, so arrow functions have something called as implicit returns. Okay, so as long as you technically don't have a curly bracket, you are doing implicit return. Okay, so returning the value of this. So 1 gets passed, so 1 plus 1, it becomes 2, 2 plus 1 becomes 3, and then we reach this particular line. Now this particular line, there is no implicit return. Okay, and if implicit return is not there, because, and why it's not there? Because of this curly bracket. Okay, so curly bracket tells that you need to kind of take this sorry, whatever is happening inside the curly brackets, you need to return it. And since we are not returning it, this line doesn't make sense. It returns not a number. It's not able to resolve it. Okay, and then we reach the next line where it says not a number plus 1. So the left side is not a number, the right side is 1. And it's like, I don't know, how can I add something which is not a number to 1? And it goes like, I don't know, it should be not a number. This results into not a number. And then we have this console log x, which says, oh yeah, it is not a number. Okay. And that's what we get. Cool. If I don't have this line, assuming, what are we going to get? So 1 is an input. Think of it as 1 is the input, and dot then x plus 1 basically says take this input, okay, 1 plus 1, return 2. then 2 plus 1 return 3, then 3 plus 1 return 4, and then console.log x is basically, this is an input, or which is 4. Not sorry. Console, this line basically says that, yeah, the input is 4. So print out 4. And that's what we get. Okay. So any questions about this? About implicit return versus like explicit return? So do you think if I add a return keyword here, would this fix it? Let's see. Yes, it does. Okay, any questions, anyone, about like nan versus the numbers versus implicit return versus explicit return? Anything? Anyone? It's curious before we go ahead and do something else. Okay. No questions, which means everything's been going great. So I'll just say this throws an error because no explicit return. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's try async await. I think that's the good thing. Actually, at this point, let me push everything. So we have something here and here. Perfect. So git add all, git commit session 2 v2 and git push, so that you have everything that I have so far and we are on the same page. Silence is scaring me, but that's fine. I'll be able to handle it, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. It's trying to make some lame jokes here. Here's everything that you need for everything that we have done so far. And now let's move to the next one. Let's try with async await. So now the question is, we have an async function. Okay, let's call it, of course, the famous one, fetch data. Okay, and now inside this fetch data, I am going to do const res or response equals to await fetch. Now fetch is a JavaScript, I would say, function. Yeah, it allows you to make API calls. So I'm going to go https / some random url.com, some.randomurl.com. Hopefully this is not a website. Oh, apparently it is. Some / random. Yeah, this is wrong. Not slash. Some dot random dot url. Yeah, I don't want it to resolve to anything. Perfect. Okay. Next, I am going to say that whatever this does, it returns an await rest.json, and then I do a return of data. Now finally, it's an asynchronous function. Okay, I'm going to call fetch data, and I'm going to say once you have fetched whatever data is needed, dot then data callback, just console.log the data. Okay, so I'm going to say data colon comma data. The only hint I'm going to give you is that this website does not exist. Okay, so it will throw an error. Now my question to you all is, what's going to happen in this case? Excuse me. Would this throw an error? Would it print something? Would it return undefined? I don't know. Okay, that's my question to you all. Okay, no answer. So as I said, like, first bit is definitely not going to return anything because it's going to fail. And why is it going to fail? Because that URL, as I said, is invalid, right? If that URL is invalid, then it's going to throw some sort of error. Excuse me. Yep. So that is going to throw error. We are going to get some error, but what would be that error? And would this line resolve in anything, or would it crash the program? Let's hit enter. So as soon as I hit enter, it says, oh, promise pending. And that's it. Okay. And it gives you this error which says uncaught in promise, type error, failed to fetch. Okay. Because fetch data function, it was supposed to fetch some data from this URL, but this URL really does not exist. It like basically does not return any data. So that means that this awaiting of it's like, since this doesn't return anything, this never has a value. So you cannot kind of say, oh, convert it to JSON and give it to me, because yep, error on JSON doesn't make sense. Return data and you're like, error. Okay. Now you can not technically, but more like, how do you ensure that your program doesn't crash things? Okay. It actually works out. So the best way, like if given such snippets and you're like, we run this and what if the URL fails, or it kind of crashes the program, how can we avoid that? Okay, so to avoid that, you can say that, oh, we can wrap it in try catch. Okay, we can say that we can wrap it in try catch. What does try catch do? The try catch is going to what's the word? Yeah, the try catch is going to try something, and if it sees or gets an error, it goes like, okay, let me catch that error, not crash the program, and do something about it. That something could be either logging the error, you can also rethrow the error, anything is possible. the question is, where should you add the try catch? Like, there are multiple ways to do it, or multiple places to do it. Like, we can enhance this function quite a lot. Okay, and what that enhancement means is what I'm trying to focus on. Okay, so one way to enhance this is to wrap it in try catch, as I said. Not one way, but everything possible that you should do. So whenever you write, let's say, asynchronous functions, you should wrap it in try catch. And the idea is so that you don't crash the program. And in the catch error, you can do multiple things. Number one, you can say console.error, and error happened. And you can also print that error. Right? The problem is not problem. Let's try it out. Let's try one step at a time. So given this particular piece of code, and if I try and run it now, remember the previous one was promise pending. Okay, promise was pending. We got some error and something has broken. We try the new one, fetch data. Okay, now we have wrapped it in try catch, and let's see what does this give us. Okay, it says promise pending, tried to get it, failed, error failed to fetch, which is a proper error right now. Okay, it's a proper error, and it's not uncaught, it is a caught error. Okay, so we know that some things could fail, and if it fails, this is what you need to do. And the data in this case is now printed as undefined because this part has failed. So the thenable, or the then part where it has to print it out, will not have any data to print, and it properly prints it as undefined. What else can we do in terms of fixing this? Okay, so given that initial question, we have fixed it by adding the then catch. But a good in the interview, a good thing would be like, oh, we should also throw the error back so that the caller can handle it. Occurred spelling, I hopefully. So who is the caller of this function? Like this fetch data is being called here, and we can say that this one can kind of catch the error, and this can also print the error. Okay, and the only difference is here it should be error. Perfect. Okay, so now we have done a try catch inside a function, and the caller also kind of takes care of any error that could have occurred. Now if I hit enter, promise pending, okay, error occurred, yes, this happened, and the error failed to fetch. So we have thrown an error back from here, and this line catches the error, and then it can try to print that error or do whatever with it, right? So yeah, that is about, I guess, promises. That's also about now going into snippets of how, like in an interview, if given some code, how would you try and fix it, or maybe create new code. So this was one of the many that we'll have now from now onwards. Okay, so I guess what I can do is move them all to a separate section. Okay, so the question was, fix this / improve this, and what I had was literally just this much. And I had this line. And this is the one that will throw an error, right? Perfect. Okay, so now we are going into more of questions. So this was the first question of the many questions that are going to come in. So given that sort of thing, how would you kind of fix it? Okay, how would you ensure that it does not throw any exceptions which are uncaught? It does not throw, or it does not crash our application. Because imagine if you have a web page running and it tries to fetch some URL which does not return anything, you might end up with showing nothing on the web page. You might end up in like crashing your UI or having a really bad UI which does not show what the error is. So yeah, this is the first one. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so now the next question that I have for you, I guess this would be a very interesting one. So you all know about map, right? What's a map? Oh, I'm based in London and sleepy in terms of like the session itself, or what? I'm confused. Do you think it's not making sense? Do you think it's not enjoyable? Do you think it's the DST that's causing it? Okay, cool. Let's move to the next one. So, do you all know what is a map in JavaScript? Like, if you have an array, then you can kind of map over it, right? Right, and that map basically returns a new array. Yeah, with some details. So example, if I have an array of 2, 4, 6, 8, and I say map over it, so map is going to basically loop over it, and I can say like for each number in that array, I want to do, I don't know, divide it, each num divided by 2, or let's say multiplied by 2. So what is this going to do? Sorry, it will loop over it, and it will kind of take each individual number multiplied by 2 and return me a new array. Now I say it returns a new array because that is one of the most important parts. Okay, why? Because some things modify. Okay, some operations modify the original array. Some operations create a copy of the array and then do operations on it. Okay, so in this case, if I do const a and then I do this exact same thing on a, and I print a, that would not have modified the original array. Okay, the original array stays as it is, and it is only the one that we are kind of modifying, the one that we are working with right now, it gets modified. Okay, and that is very important to know. Now my question to you all is, like, let's say you are in an interview and you are asked implement map in JavaScript without using dot map. Otherwise that would be kind of, I don't know, funny if you're asked to implement something that you could have used directly. So question to you all, how would you implement this? Like that's the main question. As I said, we are moving towards questions. Okay, we have to implement a map in JavaScript without using the dot map. So we have to build something very similar. How would you do that? And I would say it would be very simple, right? What does a map take as an input? It takes a callback. But also it has, like, because of that whole syntax that it has to iterate over an array, our function would or should take an array as an input as well. Okay. Oh, I have an answer. And then perfect. I guess this should work out. Let's try it out. Should I go with the first one or the second one? Oh, I think they're the same answer. Okay, so if I do this one, then I can do map of, I don't know. It takes an array. So let's say 2, 4, 6, 8. And what is my OP? Okay, the operation. So my operation, let's say, is going to be x. It's the x multiplied by 2. So this should return multiples of 2 for everything, right? 2 into 2. Yeah, perfect. This is good. Okay. So and there we go. That's a first solution that we already have. That is good. Now let's try and understand what has been done so that you could implement it in your interviews. Okay, a very simple one. So we have created a function called as map. Okay, and we have a let new array equals currently empty array. Okay, and then we have a for loop where it says that for element of an array, which is the input, so for each element technically of an array, what we want to do is new array dot push. Okay, so in this new array, I just want to push or add the OP, okay, which is the callback function for that particular element. Okay, cool. I mean, if I have to make it less verbose, what I would do, like in terms of making it less verbose, I'm not like, we know that it is correct. I would say, let's say I have a my map and then it takes an array on operation. Does it need to be a let? We are not reassigning any at any point, right? So we could have it as a const. So const new array equals this, and if I don't want it verbose, I can say for, and I want to do a let on it. Let I equals 0, I less than the array, which is an input, dot length, and I can do I plus plus, right? Something like this. This should work out. And the only problem in this case would be, let's call it operation. The only problem is EL is not a thing anymore. So this should actually be in my array, whatever is at that particular position, that needs to be pushed. But pushing just that much would not make a difference, right? So if I give it an array, let's say const nums equals 1, 2, and 3, and I do console.log my map, okay, and I say the input is nums, and what I want you to do is multiply everything by 3, right? So currently this is going to fail. So why would this fail? Because in the operation, I'm telling it that take whatever is the value at this position. So at 0th position, it would be the array of 0th position, which is 1. But I'm not telling it anything else of what to do, right? So I don't think this would work out. Let's see. Oh, that would actually. Which is why I'm doing a callback. Yeah, that should work out, right? But what if I want to do two things? Do you think then it would work out? So I say that, you know what? Instead of just an x, okay, I want you to do x comma y and I want to do x plus y multiplied by 3. So let's see, would this work out? First, let's understand what will happen in a normal map. So given this 1, 2, and 3 dot map, okay, the question that I'm saying is like we have x comma y, and I want to return x plus y multiplied by 3. Okay, so a normal map does this, slash returns me this. So what is this doing? So this is like the y is the index. Okay, we can kind of say that this is idx, index in the position. So all I'm doing is like adding it to whatever is the input, right? So if I remove all of this and I say this is idx and this is idx, okay, so what are we doing? X is going to be, let's say, 1. So 1 plus the index of this 1 is going to be 0. So 1 plus 0, 1. 1 multiplied by 3 gives me 3. Then 2, and index of this is 1. So 2 plus 1, 3. 3 into 3, 9. And then 3 plus index of 3 is 2. So 3 plus 2, 5. 5 into 3, 15. Now let's go back to this question, like this solution. Let's try and see if this would work out. So map, and I am going to do map of 1, 2, and 3, so that we have the same answers. 1, 2, and 3, and here I want to do x comma idx, and I want to do exactly what we were doing here, which is this. So we want to ensure that it works out. No, it didn't. So what did we miss out? Slash what can we do to improve? So v1 has been done and it works. v2, okay, so you could use my map with array.entries to get the same result. Let's try and build it together. Okay, like think of it as being in an interview. I'll also delete this part right now. So, well, this is broken as well. We have to implement it in an interview. What will we do? So one of the suggestions here is that I can just use a dot entries, okay, right here after the nums. So you're saying like at this point, if I do dot entries, then it should work out. Let's think about it. Let's try and build it not by changing the input, I would say. Like, why should we change the input, right? But by changing what can be fixed here. So looking at this new array, fine. For loop, fine. We are pushing operation, fine. But we should, like in the callback, we should say it also can receive an index and it can receive the array. Okay, so we are passing the index and the original array, both of it, in the callback. Okay, so in the callback, which is this particular part, so without the dot entries, so the first argument of this my map is the array which we have given, and the second argument is this operation or the callback function, whatever you say, and that can take any sort of input. And I'm saying that the input that it is taking kind of three things. One is the array of index, okay, array of that in, like, no, let's say it's taking the value at that particular index. That's the first thing it's taking as an input. The second thing it is taking as an input is actually the index, and the third thing it is taking as an input is the array, the original array, which was this. Okay, if I try this, it works. Okay, so v1 was only passing in the element. Our v2, which is now on par with the map, array map, is passing in not just the element but also the index and the original array. So now we have basically created our map function, our own map function. Why would you do this? Just so that you understand what works, like how would you basically build your own map function. Okay, the next question that I have for you is build a debounce function. A debounce function which will allow us to debounce something. So I guess the question here could be like, what is debounce, right? And if you don't know, so debounce allows you to run certain things after certain time. Okay, example, if you're on a website and you have to type inside an input box. Okay, you have to type inside an input box, and the question is that, okay, how do I ensure that this particular API call only happens after user has finished typing? But you never know what is a finished typing. So you say that, okay, a human response time would be what, like 300 milliseconds, I guess, right? 300, 350, something like that. So the question is that if I don't want to make an API call every second, how can I ensure that these calls only happen after certain amount of time? Let's say after every 300 milliseconds. Okay, I guess that's the easiest way to put it, right? That I want to do a call to a certain function only every 300 milliseconds, not like every time, not on every keystroke, not on every key press. Cool. So we have to implement a debounce function. Can I copy this and we paste it right here? So this is our v1 solution. which actually works when I just do this much. nums1, and this is map, and this would be index, and this, right? I guess this is what we have that works. And then we have nums2, this is nums2, and this one works as well. Nums1. P2 solution, passing index. Let me confirm both of them work. Yep, they do. Okay, so the next question that I have is implement a debounce function. Is the usage clear? Like a debounce is nothing but you're telling that I want to run certain things after a certain interval. Okay, after certain interval, that kind of should trigger something in your brain. What can you run after certain interval? We have seen that. We have seen that something, and we have also seen that, oh, it needs to be in macro task queue and stuff like that. Okay, so implement a debounce function. So the first question should be, like, do we want a simple implementation in terms of like, all we need to do is if given multiple inputs, it should only take care of the, or only print out the last one, okay? Like after a certain time has passed. So let's, like, whenever you are in an interview, you'll ask this question to the interviewer. And if they say yes, it should only print it out after the interval has passed or after the delay has passed, then we are in luck. We can say, okay, function debounce v1. Okay, it will take an input, which is a function, which will be like, oh, I want to, I don't know, console log after 300 milliseconds. So it should take in whatever needs to happen, and it should also take in the time, right? Now the next part is going to be let timer. I'm going to create a timer, and I'm going to say that let's return a function. And anyone wants to make a guess of what we'll need to do after this? Anything? Okay, I do have an answer. Let me copy that over. Can I kind of format it? Format document. Really? Okay, anyways, going to cut it, and let's go over here, reload, and paste it. Did I miscopy something? Do you think this should have semicolon? Nope. So let's see. You have function debounce, callback, and delay. Let timer. You have a function that returns clear timeout timer. Timer equals set timeout, and then you have a callback, delay, immediately invoking it, and you had a semicolon here. Something like this. This would not be a. Okay. So now if I do debounce and let's say a console.log to print like, or actually let's say I want to have const print equals debounce, and that takes in a callback message, let's say msj here, and I say, oh, I want to just do a console dot log of that message and do it after 300 milliseconds. Okay, I think the syntax is correct. Now if I do print of 1 as a string, and then I copy paste this like 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, and I hit enter, and there we go. So at 38004 is when I had hit enter, and then after 300 milliseconds it actually did not do anything. So what did I do? What did I mess up? What did I not? Why did it not print it? I'm calling the function correctly, right? So debounce is correct. Console is it didn't print anything. Do you think there's a syntax error somewhere? I would have thought it would print something. Unless I made a mistake somewhere. I don't think so. Okay, anyways. So if I go to this one, okay. So what I would say, I guess what you should do is take some input, right? You're doing the callback, but you're not passing any arguments. That's the only difference I would say it would make. Okay, so implementing a debounce v1 more like, and I'm saying that, okay, it takes in a callback function, which is same as the other user has given me, and a delay. We have a timer. I'm going to say that spread over the args, all the arguments that you have received. Take that. Step 1, clear any previous timeouts. So clear the previous timeout, which is assigned to this timer variable. And then I'm going to say timer equals to set timeout. And we can do a callback saying that call this function and spread over the args, comma, delay. Yeah, I guess that's it. So I guess in this working version, possibly if you just spread over the args and call back with args, I think it should work out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that args is basically so that if I pass a console log, it takes in all those arguments and prints it back or returns it back. Okay, so perfect implementation and similar to what I would have thought. Now let's add a twist. So I'll actually pass this one here and make it v1. And also let me print this one out without the timestamp and print all of this out. And we just need to make this debounce v1. Now imagine the interviewer goes like, okay, this is good, but I want to ensure that it prints the first one and then starts waiting. Okay. So the follow-up question is that it should ideally print one and then wait for 300 milliseconds before it prints the next thing that comes up after 300 milliseconds. How would you do that? So this is our V1. Now the follow-up question, as I said, like, let's have a leading and maybe a trailing. Okay, so I want to print the first thing immediately, or maybe I want to print the last thing, okay, after the debounce. Let's take it outside here so that, you know, or everyone can focus right on it, right on the bat, on this one. So we want to implement a leading and a trailing kind of situation, where leading means that as soon as we call it with like something that hits or that gets printed, and then we have this wait time of, let's say, 300 milliseconds, and after 300 milliseconds, whatever is the last time gets printed. Cool. So if we have to improve this function, I'll say step one, it should take in 2 more parameters. I'll say, let's say leading, which initially could be, let's say, false, and it can take in trailing, which would be true. Yeah, right. So why trailing true? Because the last thing needs to be printed, very simply. And like, these are my defaults. I'll say currently they are going to be assigned to the empty objects. Perfect. They're currently empty. They are not assigned. Now let's come back to this code. So we have a let timer. This is fine. We have a return on the argument. So spreading over is fine. The only thing I would say is we just need to add a const should print now, which will be like, if leading and there is no existing timer. Okay, so should print now, I'll be like, okay, if you are saying that it should be printed on the first instance, then leading and there is no existing timer, okay, then it should print now. So timer clear timeout will clear any previous timers. Timer is equal to set timeout. And now I am going to say that inside this, timer is equal to undefined. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm setting the timer to basically be like, you know what, ensure that we start at no timers. Okay, clear out any previous timers, set it to undefined, and start fresh. Perfect. If we have trailing, okay, which means it should print after, and there should not be should print now. In that case, we can call the callback with the arguments and then do the delay. The vice versa situation is that if it should be printed now, in that case, we just call back with the args. Okay, and I guess that's it, right? Let's call this V2. So now going back to our print situation, our print message, I'm saying debounce V2 Okay, it takes the message, console.log the message after comma like 300 milliseconds. That is fine as well. And then comma, I can now pass it an object. And if I say that the leading is actually true and trailing is false, now if I do the print, it should print 1, and that's it. Okay, after 300 milliseconds, nothing. If I do the other way around, if I say print and leading false and trailing true, sorry, in this case it should print after the 300 milliseconds. So that is okay. And what if both of them are true, leading as well as trailing? Any guesses, anyone? Would I see 1 and 9 both? Or would I see 1? Would I see 9? 1 and 9 both. Okay. 1 immediately, like literally immediately, and 9 after like 600 milliseconds. Yeah, 409, 709. So 300 millisecond difference. Cool. Okay, I guess that is it. How to implement your own debounce function, and you can also improve on it and say that, oh, we can give you 2 parameters to basically be like when to run this, right? Do you want to print something immediately? So in a search situation, in the situation that I was talking about, like if you have to search for certain things and you want to kind of trigger a search as soon as the user prints something. Okay, sorry, not print, types something, not print, types something. In that case, you could basically do what I have done here, right? You could say that, okay, as soon as the user types something, we want to do a search. But if the user then types something else, and then stops typing, then everything that they typed after like in that 300 millisecond interval will be ignored, and at the end of that 300 milliseconds, whatever is the last input, you will make a new request for that input. Okay, so I type A, you start making a search request, then I type ABCDE and I finish, and then like after 300 milliseconds you see that, oh, the user has typed ABCDE, then you make a new search request for E. Okay, and that's it. So that's all about, oh, I have Wei here. Hey Wei, I think it has ended. I think I've gone like 4 minutes or 5 minutes over. Sorry about that. I am now going to end the stream. Thank you so much. And now enjoy a quick session with Wei about OpenClaw in cloud, part 1. So hope you enjoy that session with Wei. And yeah, I'll push this, and tomorrow I have a session where we can go back and do the React versions of it, like everything in React. We will go and build some awesome things in React and figure out some interview questions in React. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone, and let me just push it out. Hopefully you learn something new, how to implement your own debounce. And one of the most popular libraries, which is Lodash, it builds debounce exactly like this. Cool. Okay, cheers. Thanks everyone, and I will see you tomorrow for React sessions. Bye-bye. You are absolutely welcome. And enjoy the next session with Wei now.